Good morning, guys. It's the first day of spring, and it feels like the first day of spring. It really does. I mean, I woke up feeling before I got out of the bed, I was feeling like just like a spring chicken, like new, renewed, energized, just ready to take on whatever. Before I knew that today was spring, because you know the internet is very informative. Instagram. Um, Before I knew, last night I've been going through some things, um, really just trying to figure out this whole, you know, relationship thing, this twin flame thing, you know, and really moving ahead, growing within myself, healing, family, career, um, and so it's just been a lot. For a long time, it's been a lot, and you have your points where you hit like these they're not really ruts. They're like really um, introspective phases, I guess you could call. That's really like breaking everything down, and then you're comforted by the joy of it. But during that time, it's definitely a difficult situation to deal with. Um, and so we've all been going through a tough time. Um, so last night, you know, yesterday we would take it back further than that. I was just feeling that I was holding myself back. I was putting, this is about limits. I was putting limits on myself, you know, and sometimes, you come to this head where you reach this reoccurring pattern. And sometimes if we're aware, we realize that those reoccurring patterns, have something to tell us and have something to teach us and have something that we need to deal with so that we can move forward. And so, being that a whole bunch of revelations has been coming about who I am, and I've been just really awakening deeper and deeper every day, and I'm very thankful for that. And so, I hit this situation to where it was a reoccurring event, to where in my faith, to where I'm believing in, let's use, we could use anything. I'm believing in this certain situation. And, it gets to a point to where, I'm not seeing any like, any results of my faith. You know what I'm saying? And so it gets to the point to where you have to like decide if you're gonna believe or if you're not gonna believe. Like if you're gonna take that extra step in faith. And so it's like I would always get to this point to where like it wasn't that I would give up in faith. It would just I wouldn't take that step. And and I wouldn't receive the validation like, is this real? Is this really happening? Is this a real, thing? And sometimes you can even use this for the twin flame, relationship, because there are people that haven't talked to their divine partner in like 6 to 6 years, 6 months to 6 years, and so you're believing in something that's not really rendering any type of result. You know what I'm saying? Like you're believing in something that, like you just really going on blind faith that this is going to work out. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm believing that this is real. Like, I'm believing that this relationship is real. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not talking to my partner. Like, we're not texting. We're not doing any of this. And so it's like I'm always getting to a certain point where I'm reaching out for validation to know that this is real, because if I take this extra step and like continue to and like really take that step and believe, and it's not real, like, that's really devastating. You know what I'm saying? And it's like I never wanted to experience that type of devastation, or I never really wanted to take that extra step, and that was my limit of just with anything. And it's not just with the twin flame, it's not really with just my relationship, it's with my career. It's like, am I doing this just to be doing this, or am I really, partaking in these activities and promoting this because I really truly believe in it, and I really truly believe that it's going to be beneficial? Because if I'm not truly believing wholeheartedly that this is going to work out, I'm wasting my time. Like, I'm wasting my time and my energy, and that's not my intention. So I came to that truth that, we can't believe half-heartedly, and they're not to partake in anything half-heartedly, because it's never gonna work out. um, and you must believe with your entire being. And so I made that decision, that I was just gonna have faith, and I was just gonna believe, and see what happens. Because it's almost like when it comes down to faith, you're like one decision away from receiving everything that you believe. You know, and God kind of wants to see, how much do you believe? Because if you really believe, then you can have it. Like, if you're really willing to take that step, then you can have it. You know what I'm saying? Like, then it's yours. Um, and so I believe that to be honest, I believe that that's my divine partner. I believe that one day we may be together. I believe that one day we may even get married. I believe one day we may even have a family. I believe, that one day we will feel the same for each other and be the best of friends. I believe that in my heart, and so I feel like I've taken that step, to first admitting that this is what I believe, and I'm going forward with that belief. All right. But last night, you know, it was just upon my heart. It was just like, the thoughts of just the thoughts that the relationship brings with it, you know, um, the emotions that the relationship bring with it, of the old self, when you take a look at, the relationship, and you're just like, man, it brings up, like, so many insecurities within me. You know what I'm saying? Like, insecurities that I really don't want to carry with me anymore. It brings up so many negative thoughts. It brings up so many thoughts of me not feeling good enough, or, me not, just, not being as trustworthy as I should be, and so I'm just like, I'm dealing with this, and I'm just like, I have to let this go. You know, I can no longer carry this energy with me. Like, I have no desire to carry that energy with me into the future. Like, into the now, into, like, right now. I have no desire, to hold this relationship in that regard. To hold that relationship in that particular regard. Because right now, it's like, in order to have a relationship, you need to have relations. Like, so I can only speak of the relationship from the past view. Alright? But I'm saying, like, I don't have any desire to go another day, you know, thinking that I would love to talk to you, or I would love to hear your voice, like, or how it would be so good to just like have a great conversation with you. And I have no desire to take that, on to another day. I have no desire to carry that energy with me. I have no desire to, just bring anything from that relationship, or to bring the person that was in that relationship into the future. So the one thing I just felt like, even though I have the faith that one day it may happen, it's just I have to let that go, because that's not really the type of dynamic in a relationship that I will that's gonna carry on in any other relationship. Like that's there. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not the type of relationship what I want. It's not like, it's not what I want. And even though I love my partner with everything inside of me, of course you all know how that love is. I just can't take that relationship with me into the future. Like, so it'll almost have to be like a new person that I'm with. Like a renewed, healed person. That if we're gonna be together, like it could not be like the last relationship at all. It wouldn't last 20 minutes. So I grant the spring for that type of newness, that type of energy that I'm feeling, and the decision that I had to make. And I made that decision in love. I made a decision for my future. I made the decision for my happiness and my joy. I made that decision for love, in love, you know. And so I woke up this morning with a great sense of being renewed and regenerated, and really just feeling spring. Really spring, the energy of spring just really, you know, completely embodying me, and completely asking me to embody my philosophy. It comes to the point to where, you have some teachers that really speak about, what they believe, and everything like that. But I think it comes to a point to where, you could really just stop talking if you're living what you're teaching. you know and so that's where I'm at. And for me to embody my philosophy, for me to embody my teachings and live what I'm teaching, I couldn't do that carrying on the energies of the past. You know, I couldn't do that carrying on the energies of that relationship, carrying on the energies of the person that I was in that relationship, carrying on the energies that the relationship, like, had me in, like the insecurities and the trouble, the doubt, all that stuff. And so I couldn't carry on into the future and embody my philosophy, because in secretly I was like really uh uh like not liking myself, for the decisions that I made in the past, and for how it made me feel. Like I wasn't really fully wholeheartedly loving myself. I was kind of slick side, like not really liking myself. And so that couldn't carry on with me, into the future. So I had to make that decision also, and it all kind of like, it's all kind of like a conglomerate of situations that really come together for the big shebang. But it's all this. It's like I had to do this to get this, and I had to do this to get there, and I just had to drop all of that to get there. To take that next step. And I think this is what the spring equinox is about. It's about, leaving the fall or winter in the past. This is a new energy. This is a new season, and whatever you learned in the last season, embody it, live it. You know, that's the only way that we can get better. You know, as an individual, and so far as for a people. You know, like we have to be aware of what we're doing. You know, life is not just aimless living. Like there are so many levels of this shit. I'm just saying, it just came out. You know, like I was aware that it was coming out, and it just had to come out. There's so many levels of this. You know, there's emotional, there's mental, physical, spiritual. There's many spiritual planes and realms that we're dealing with. Like we're not just really aimlessly living. You know, like there's something that we are here for. Trust me. You know, there's something that we're here for. And we're here to be aware and to learn and to be, you know, a family, a knit of families to help us, and to ultimately to help God in this spiritual warfare that we're in. You know, to bring light to this world. We are responsible for this world, and we haven't been doing a very good job. You know, and so we're here just to be aware and to learn, you know, from every situation, you know, so that we can get better. There are people that haven't learned in 50 years, man, because they're not aware and they think this is just aimless life, that we have to wake up and go to work, you know, every day, and we disassociate from ourselves in our environment. So, you know, we just go undone. Things go undone. Lessons go unlearned. You know, and so, like I said, the spring is here to is here and allowing you to put into practice what you've learned in the past. You know, so it's almost like this is your renewed self. This is where you become renewed. This is where you embody the energy that you've been building up on. This is where you move forward in the energy that you've been building. And I just wish you guys luck. If you have any questions, you know, just ask. I mean, please work on, you know, work on believing wholeheartedly. You know, even if the relationship that you believe in doesn't work out, you learn something about yourself that you have the ability to believe to such a great extent, which can help every other area in your life, because faith is the magic key to everything, to manifesting. You know, so if you can almost believe, you know, in yourself in another, you can believe in yourself creating the future that you desire. You can believe in, you know, manifesting the wealth that you desire. You can believe in manifesting those opportunities, and you can believe in manifesting a relationship that will be exactly what you desire. And so all is not lost. There's always something positive to gain. There's always positivity really ready for us, you know. So happy spring.